Within Ecamm Live, it's really easy to add audio files, and then you can add each one of those as a soundtrack to your scene. Let me show you what I mean, and then I'll show you what the issue is and hopefully how to fix it. So within sound effects, you can simply click and drag a new file into here. And this is all from CreatorMix, which is a free, copyright-free service that you can basically download your files. So no copyright issues here. And as you can see, you can just play this and you can change the volume here for that particular file. And I'm in my sort of main scene here. Now what I can do is I can actually add that file to the scene. And if I go into live demo mode, up here you can see that I can actually control the volume of that file. Now this is great because that now will allow me to set the volume for a particular audio file on a per scene basis. Now that's great. However, I can't do this if I have a folder that contains multiple files. So let me show you what I mean regarding that. So let me just get rid of this particular file and I'll stop this from playing. Let's just remove it completely. So here, for example, now, let me get out of live demo mode and go back to this. So let me now create a folder and I'll just call it music. And within this folder, I can add multiple files. So let's add a few from my list here, and we'll just pop those in. So now we've got 3 files. Now each one of these files, you can change the volume independently, as you can see. Now that's okay, but what I want is these to continually play across all my scenes because they're in a folder. And as I switch between scenes, I want the volume of those files to change. So if I now add this to my scene, and I'll go back to live demo mode. This folder is now in my scene. It's called music. Now I can stop playing when I switch to a scene, but I don't want that. I want to continually play my music when I switch between scenes. But as you can see here, there's no way that I can change the volume. Now it does sort of work when you double click on it sometimes, but it's not persistent. So what happens is it basically switches back to full volume, and that's not what I want. If I'm talking, I want the music to be low, and if I'm then going to a Be Right Back scene or another scene, I might want to change the volume and make it louder. So you can see the issue. Having a folder that contains multiple audio files doesn't have the ability right now in Ecamm Live to set the volume on a per scene basis. So my workaround is pretty straightforward. I'm going to take all the audio files that will be contained within that folder and merge them into a single large audio file. That means I can control the volume independently across each scene whilst it plays continuously one song after the other. Now, until this is fixed or has a feature release within a later version of Ecamm, this is the only way I found right now to be able to do this successfully across each scene. If you've got a better idea, please let me know in the comments below. But anyway, let's get into the detail. It's a little bit involved. Get yourself a coffee because we're going to be using some terminal commands to merge these files together, but it's pretty straightforward. It's not horrific. Let's get to it. To get our workflow up and running, we need to install a couple of third-party applications, and it all starts with this one. It's called Homebrew. You can get to it by typing in brew.sh, and this is an application that allows us to install other applications within your Mac operating system. It's not scary at all. It's really easy to install. Let's just do this now. We click on this link here that's within the website, and then we need to open up Terminal on your Mac. Now, Terminal is just basically a window into your operating system, and you can run various command lines from there. We'll paste in this one that we've just copied from the website. Now, it's pretty straightforward. I've already installed it on mine, but I'll just show you what happens. We just hit return, and then it's going to ask you for your admin password because it needs to install the software. Nothing scary about it. Go ahead and install it. And then once that is done, we're going to have to make the brew application as part of our path. So when we type in other commands to get other applications installed, it will run in the background. As you can see, it's installed it pretty quickly. Now, all these steps are linked in the description of this video below. But now let's just go ahead, get the path set up so we can run brew. and then I will show you how to install the other two quick applications. With Brew now installed, we need to make it accessible for running various commands within your operating system. There's two more commands that you have to add. I told you it was a little bit involved, so I hope you've got your coffee ready. Let's go back into terminal. And as I said, all these commands are in the description below. So the first one is to allow us to have Brew running as your path. We'll install that, hit return. It's a very, very quick command. And then we have one more that we install. We'll just paste this one in here. And that's done. So when you type in Brew now, help, for example, it's part of your path and it'll come up and show you all the various commands within Brew. You don't have to worry about that. What we're going to do now is install two other pieces of software. One is called FmpEG. It may be already part of your system if you've installed other video type applications on there. And the other one is called SOX. I'll show you how to do that now and tell you what they do. So both FmpEG and SOX can be installed at the same time by just typing in Brew install FmpEG SOX. And that's going to download the software from the interwebs. It'll take a few minutes, but then you should be good to go. Next, you'll need to get yourself a folder full of audio files that we're going to be using to merge into a single file so you can play across all your scenes within Ecamm Live at different volumes. Now, I personally use creatormix.com, but there are many out there that offer copyright-free music. I'd encourage you to make sure that it is a reputable site before you download the music, because you don't want to get yourself a copyright strike when uploading to YouTube. So let me show you my folder. I've got one here called CreatorMix, and it contains all the files that I want to merge into a single file. Now, these can be MP3s or WAV files. It doesn't matter. The software we're using can handle multiple file types. So the first thing we need to do is create ourselves a folder. You can name this anything you want, but this is the folder that we're going to be using because we have to check that all the files that we have in this folder here are at the same sample rate. And what I mean by that is that some files will be recorded at maybe 48 kilohertz, some files will be recorded at 41. It doesn't really matter what that bit rate is, but they all need to be the same in order for them to be merged into a single file. So there are a couple of files in here that are at 41 kilohertz, at 44 kilohertz, and at 48. Doesn't really matter. What we're going to do is use our first program, which is FmpEG, to basically take all these files, convert them into the same sample rate, and then we can merge them into one single file. So let's go and do that first. Let's convert all the audio files that we've downloaded to our folder to be the same sample rate. We can do that with a single command within terminal. I'll show you how to do that right now. So first off, let's just navigate within terminal to our directory. So we can just do CD, and you can actually click and drag your folder from your desktop, where mine is in this case, to the terminal window, and you do so CD, and then that's where my directory is. If we do an ls, which is a directory listing, we can see we've got all our MP3 files listed here, and we've already created a convert directory, which is where we're going to pop all the files that have been converted to the same sample rate into. We just need to run a simple one-line command to do that, and I'll show you what that is doing right now. So right here, we're just going to create a little loop, so it will iteratively go through each file listed here and convert them to the sample rate of 44.1 kilohertz. So we're going to take every file which is a star.mp3. As I said, it could be a WAV file, it doesn't really matter. We'll use the FFmpeg that we downloaded before, and it's going to create that for every file, which is the $F, and we're going to do the audio rate to 44.1 kilohertz, and we're going to pop them all into this convert directory. So let's just run that. Now it's going to take a few minutes. I'm not going to bore you while you wait, but it's going to go through each file. It shows you all the details of the MP3 file, and then it's going to convert them all into a 44.1 sample rate for each file. I'll come back to you in a second when all that is done. That took approximately 2 minutes for my files to be converted. Yours will be different. It just depends how many you have in your folder and, of course, how fast your Mac is to convert them. But we've got them all now at the same sample rate. They're all at 44.1 kilohertz, and that's important because we need them to be all the same in order for our last application, SOX or Sound Exchange, to actually take them all and merge them into a single file. So with one more command line, I'll show you how to do that. Let's go back to our friendly terminal, and we'll just paste this command in here, and I'll show you what it's doing. So effectively, all it's going to do is we're going to use the application SOX. We're going to look at the convert directory with all our recently converted files. So we're going to say everything which is got the star MP3 file name, which is all the files in that folder. And we're going to then just output them to something called merged sounds.mp3. And that's the output name of the merge file. So let's run that. And it's going to sit there for a while and convert, or read, should I say, all those files in the convert directory and merge them all together into one single file. When that's done, I'll come back to you. Now we have our single merged audio file that we're going to be able to play now across all our scenes at different volume levels. Let's set this up in Ecamm Live. Let's go to live demo mode and I'll show you how to do that. So what I've got here is three or four scenes just as part of this demo that I'm doing right now. We've got our countdown scene, main scene, which is me, and then a Be Right Back scene, and then obviously others, typical that you would have in Ecamm. There's no audio set at the moment, so let's first of all get rid of this folder that we had before. We don't need that anymore, and let's get rid of all these other files. So let's grab our merged sound file that we have here, and we'll pop that into the sound effects, and we can play it. And it will start to play, as you can hear. And we'll just stop it playing now. So what I typically do is I set my studio effects level here to be around, let's say, 50%, because we can control the volume of the individual sounds per scene with this particular file now. So in my demo main scene, the talking head scene, I want the volume to be quite low. So let's add this to the scene. We have it here. I'll stop it playing for a second so you can actually hear me. And we'll hit the gear. We'll uncheck this because we don't want the audio to stop playing as we go through each scene, but I do want to control the volume. So I'm going to set the volume here to around, let's say, 15%. So it's just under my voice. You don't want it to be overpowering. Let's go to maybe the Be Right Back scene, and let's add this audio file to that. Just stop it playing again for a second, and now we want the volume here to be maybe 100%. And again, uncheck this when the scene ends. And then maybe when we want the audio to play under a demo, for example, we'll just go to terminal. What we did before, so we're messing around here. So I'm going to add this file again to here. Stop that playing. And again, I will just wind this down to around the same 15%. So you can see what I'm doing. For each scene, I want the same audio track to play through all my scenes, but I want it to be continuous audio for playing for maybe 1 or 2 hours. But I want each scene to have its own respective volume level. And as we mentioned at the beginning of this tutorial, we can't do that with a single folder. We can only do it with a single audio file. So this sort of is the workaround to get us over that problem. So let's just play through this now, and I'll start. Let me just add this to the countdown scene first, finally. Okay, let's go back to countdown. Let's just pause that clock. As you can see, I've got it 100%. I don't want the music to stop when the scene ends. And now I'm just going to play through each one, and hopefully it will kick off. So let me just start this clock again. As you can see, the music is still playing, but it's much lower, as you would expect. And then if I go to be right back. So hopefully that helps you a little bit in terms of making sure that you have at least a playlist that you can play all the way through each of your different scenes at different volumes using Ecamm Live. And hopefully we'll get the ability in a later release to manipulate the volume levels on a per folder basis. I'll stop the music for a second. All right, so thank you for watching. Hope you found this useful. If you did, leave some comments. Let me know your thoughts. If you found a different approach, a different workflow for this, I'd be really interested. And I'll see you in the next video.